Hello and welcome to this lesson on Advanced Find with inside Sage CRM. It's part of our cycle of lessons making up this topic of Sage CRM fundamentals. These are the key skills that we think all users should know to be able to start getting the best out of the investment in Sage CRM. We're building on everything that we've looked at so far. We've been looking at how data is entered into the system, how we can start to change that data, update it. We've been looking at searching for data as well in the previous lesson, and this lesson is looking at the idea of an advanced find. We saw in our previous lesson that there are a number of different ways in which we're going to be we can actually go and look for information, whether it was through the quick finds or whether it was through the keyword search or the find screens. Here, though, we're going to press on and look at a little bit more of an advanced topic on how really quite sophisticated nested searches can take place. You can see where this all builds up. We're going to be touching on concepts such as groups as well in the course of this lesson. We'll be doing more of that in subsequent lessons. We'll be building up to the idea of performing tasks and actions within Sage CRM, carrying out mail merge, etc., all the way through until we're finally understanding the workflow for cases, the workflow for opportunities, and the idea of sales forecasting as well. These key fundamental skills for Sage CRM. Now, this lesson looks at Advanced Find. It's one of Sage CRM's most powerful tools. Unlike the previous lesson in which we were looking at the find screens, Advanced Find allows users to build more nuanced queries using multiple conditions. You can use it to explore related data, apply nested logic, generate dynamic lists and reports. So you're not just going to be looking for information and restricting records based on a single entity, but you can look for information related to the fact that this is a company that has an opportunity. This is information where we are going down to looking at the type of things that were sold as well, product types, etc. We can be really quite sophisticated in the nature of the questions that we ask. And so this is a feature particularly valuable for administrators, sales teams, marketing users, anyone actually who needs to be able to segment CRM data. Everything that we do on these courses is being recorded, it's going to be edited and made available within the Sage Support and Training YouTube channel. You can see that the link to that is shown on the screen at the moment as youtube.com/@SageSupport, but you can also follow the QR code to go directly to the current course that we're building, which is the Sage CRM User Fundamentals course. Everything will be placed into that main playlist or YouTube course. We're going to go on to the meat of what we need to do now, and like before, all of the training is based on the product. So we are going to look now directly inside Sage CRM and understand what's going on within the product to be able to use the Advanced Find feature. Now I'm going to log on as a user, a demo user, into a demo system. This is the standard demo system that Sage CRM ships. So here I'm using a user called Susan May. She is a sales manager for a global software company. So information inside CRM stretches across the world, from Europe into North America into elsewhere as well. And here, though, her data is limited based on her permissions to being able to just look at North American data. And I've logged on into CRM, and I'm now going to go off and look at the Advanced Find area. So we've looked at the quick find, we've looked at the find screens, but here I'm coming down opening the find menu and going here into advanced find. Now the advanced find screen is really very bare and it can look a little bit intimidating, but actually it's not that bad once you understand what's going on within the components. So the first choice, if you're going to start asking a question, is to decide which base entity that you're going to focus your search on. So here you can see all of the main entities that are available to you to be able to see. If you don't have permissions, for example, on to be able to view information in a case, you wouldn't see the option there. But let's assume you've got rights to be able to see anything in the system. Now that list could be extendable by custom entities. Your system administrator can make other information available to you, but here I can decide what it is that I'm going to search on. And once you've made a decision, in this case, I've left it with cases, the main entity of the search determines the other tables that can be included in the search. So if we are searching on cases, underneath this is a structure that brings together the idea of the customer service issue that is the case, but it brings together information about the company address, the default contact for that customer service issue related to the company. And you can start to see that you're not just dealing with searching for the case, but you're also searching for information about the company for which that customer service request was raised. And it's loads and loads of different columns that can be available to you. Now, the exact columns that are available to you in the search is determined by the configuration made by the system administrator. So this is an area that can be fine-tuned by the system administrator. But by default, a lot of all of the main columns that you would want are available. Now I'm going to give you a first example based on the idea of a searching for sales opportunities. What if I want to find all active customers who have bought a specific product category? That seems to be a reasonable idea. So to do that, I need to specify that I'm going to search on the opportunity entity. Now, by default, straight away, by searching within the context of the opportunity, I am finding only those companies that have bought that have had an opportunity assigned to them. And now I can start to think about the information that I want. So I want the first type of information is the company type. So I can select the field and then I can add that. Now, I need to explain the way in which the information looked. So I need to make sure that here I am looking for the information of type where it equals a particular value. I could that criteria next to it to the left could indicate whether I didn't want it to be not equal to. So I could do a negative search as well, rather than just a positive search. But let's choose what I want is I want a customer. And then because I've got two criteria, I'm explicitly putting this to be an and. Now, when we looked at find screens before, I mentioned that all find screens were additive. So you added more criteria, you added more information into a find screen, and it would become more restrictive because each field would be taken as a logical and. Here, though, I can decide whether this is to be a logical and or a logical or. I've chosen it to be an and, so I need both conditions to apply, and now I choose my next field, and I can then think about using that if I have chosen the values that I want. So here I am looking for companies that are active, that are customers, and you can see the information that is pulled back. So I've got the opportunities that are actually for those. And once I've got this in place, I can start to think about whether I want to fine tune this, change this in any way, use other information, and I can think about whether I want to go off or add in some more information. And in this case, you can see that I've added in an additional logical, or I will add in an additional logical element, which is to look for details on the product. So I could now say, I want that all to be a logical and. I can now search to see that I've got active customers who have a particular product called Time Manager. And that narrows the list exactly down. And you'll notice that these are all and. There are ways of starting to make this a little bit more complex as well. So that's a very simple example. Can make this a little bit more complex, but to do that, before I do that, I'm going to save this as a actual saved search in the same way that I did before. Now, the good thing about the idea of these saved searches is that with being an advanced find, they become data sources that you can come back to again and again. So I'm going to save this here. And this has now been saved. I'm going to clear the search to allow for a different search to be created. So just click the clear button, and like before, this has cleared down this particular search. So I can now decide I want to search for a different set of information. Now, to build on the complexity, so we had looked at logical and, a really simple approach. I'm now going to find all companies in Boston and New York who are in the industry segments related to computing. Now, the way in which I stress things in natural language is different from logical language. So you have to be careful when we come on to thinking about the design of the queries that we're going to ask. So here you can see I've started to pick the company. You can see that I've started to pick the city, and I want it to contain Boston. Now, to save a little bit of time, I'm going to add all of the fields that I need, and you'll start to see the nature of the question about the logic that I'll have to add. So here you can see that I've asked the question twice about the city. So the city is going to be, or will need to be, Boston. It'll need to be New York. And then I've got the idea that I also need to have the company segment for hardware, software, services. So these are the three different segments that I want to use. How do I get these all related to each other? How do I build the logic? This is the hardest part of using the advanced find. So the first clause that we have to think about is that we have to think, and this is where I've added this in. You'll notice I'm using brackets. So I've bracketed together the first two fields. The first clause is about the city. So that's the city has to be either Boston or New York. So you've got these two cities, and I'm using within the brackets that they are a logical or. The second clause is that the companies that are either in Boston or in New York still have to be one in a particular segment within the industry. So they have to be in computer hardware, computer services, computer software. So the second clause has to be defined, and this is an additional restriction to the data. So that has to be the gap between the first clause wrapped in brackets and the second clause wrapped in brackets has to be a logical and. So because if it's within the first clause and matches one of the items within the first clause, it still has to match one of the items in the second clause. So the second clause is defined in brackets, and like the first, each wanted value of the company segment is listed, separated by an or. So we now have that structure logically built. It's a good idea to have a good look at this and pause the video and run it back if you're watching this again to understand exactly what we've built here. If I now click find, you'll see that it returns the information. So these are companies that are either in New York or they are in Boston, but each of these companies that are returned have to be either in computer hardware, computer software, or they are in computer services in order to be selected into this list. And like before, this result set can be created as a saved search. So I'll do that in a second. Now from this screen and any of the results screen from the advanced find, I can go off and do a whole set of different actions. I could create a new group. I can drive a new mail merge, or I can schedule meetings or tasks. I can send batch emails, or I can just decide to export to a CSV file or an Excel spreadsheet from here. So I can take this information, I can send it somewhere else if necessary. And again, like most of the screens that you see with inside Sage CRM, system administrators and implementers can add in additional functionality in any of the screens to use this information. So if I now save this, so I'm saving this, but this time I'm not just clicking, I've not gone ahead and saved it as a saved search. I've gone ahead and clicked the group button. So I'm creating a group. I could change this. I could decide this to be either a dynamic group or a static group. Both can be used within social in terms of MailChimp integration and mailing purposes. But the difference between a dynamic group and a static group is that a dynamic group is one that the query or the database question is always freshly being asked. So the information that you get is always pulled back live from the database. A static group is a snapshot of data that exists at that particular moment in time when the question was asked. So it represents just a set of data that is frozen, and therefore they are used for different purposes. Now I'm saving this as a dynamic group, and I've saved that. And we are going to look at groups and reporting in some detail in other lessons. But I now want to have a look at how the power of the advanced find idea, this screen that we have seen, can be used in the definition of other items, how they can actually be used for the definition of reporting. So if I just pull down the menu, I happen to be a user with rights to be able to work with the definition of reports. Only users with elevated permissions, being an info manager or a system administrator, will have the rights to be able to edit or create a report. Now I'm going to start creating a report, and you can see that what I'm doing is starting this definition. And if you don't understand, or if you're not familiar with this screen, then there are other lessons which look very explicitly at this. I'm simply going to be very quickly starting the process of filling in some of the fields. You can see that in my case, I have gone through, I've given it a name, I've chosen the underlying view that's going to be used. That's the data source that I'm using. It's linked to a particular category, and you can see as well that I've also put in certain output fields for this. Now, you'll also notice that there is an advanced find checkbox. And the advanced find, if I check that, I'll be able to use the advanced find to be able to populate the search criteria. Now, I can define the search criteria of the report using the advanced find definition screen. It's using the underlying view of the report. So whatever report that the system administrator or the person creating the report chooses for the report, that's actually something that is configurable, and the system administrator can choose exactly what's available. But let's assuming that we've chosen that, and we would then go ahead and we would build everything. Now, I do need to go into the idea of selecting selecting our group. So I'm choosing again across into the group, and you can see that here I can start the definition of our group. This is the group screen. I need to give it a name, choose the type, choose the entity, which is what I've got here as well. And I've started the process of creating the group. By default, it drops in a set of fields which it thinks is the output. But what I need to do now as well, though, is to look at the idea of using the advanced find. You can see again, there is a checkbox. So if I click on the checkbox, and you can see there's the advanced find checkbox, we're switched over, of course, into the advanced find screen, for which we're familiar. And I can go ahead and I can build again another advanced find, this time looking for companies that are either in Massachusetts or they're in the state of New York as well. So I can use that, and I can go ahead and build my listing. So here you can see that this has found all of those scores of companies that matched a particular criteria that I've selected using the advanced find. And that allows us then to save the group, and it's then the basis of that group's definition. What we've seen then is how we can use advanced find. We've understood that advanced find allows users to build complex multi-criteria searches. We've seen how it supports various logic, the and or structure, the idea of nested conditions and grouped conditions as well. We've seen how we can involve queries that touch more than one single entity, the idea that we are crossing the relationship there, and how we can create, using this concept of the advanced find, we can create reports, not only saved searches, but also groups as well. The complexity allows us, or the way in which we build the complexity, is to always choose the target entity that is the core focus of the work that we're going to be doing, that we can then add any number of multiple conditions, making it as complex or as we want, We can use the idea of those nested brackets to be able to group, to control the logical flow of how we're building this, and to be able to include fields from any of the underlying data structures, depending on the data source that is used for the query. I showed you a couple of examples of how the advanced find can be used, but they can be used for very tactical purposes within inside a Sage CRM environment. So you could use it, for example, to find customers for which you want to target for upsell or cross-sell work. The idea of starting from the opportunity or a company entity and then thinking about, do I want to be able to find all of those for whom I've sold a particular product, whose status is in a particular thing? How have I spoken to them in the last 12 months, etc. These are all ways in which you can mine the data in your system to be able to find the opportunities that you want to be able to exploit with your customers. And again, we can use this advanced find feature to be able to rapidly create groups, even to build in reports, and it's one of the data sources that can be used, as we will see in the future when we come on to designing the way in which an individual's working environment works, the dashboards work, because advanced finds and groups are data sources that are used within those. So we have used now the information to create a whole set of useful things with inside groups and report definitions. Okay. We've covered the advanced find topic, so I hope that you have found that useful. Everything that we've done has been recorded. It will be edited and made available, as I said, on the Sage Training and Support channel. You'll be able to find that and hopefully refer to this into the future as well. We're going to be building on everything that we've covered. So the next lesson next week, we're going to be looking at creating and using groups of records. We've already seen one mechanism to build a group. We're going to be looking at appointments and tasks as well, and then in future seeing all of the data sources that we've created being pushed into the usefulness around documents and emails, etc. But let's see if anyone has got any questions. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. I look forward to seeing you at the next training event. Bye-bye.